What's going on, everyone? So Rui Hachimura was interviewed and talked about how the Lakers really kind of messed around the first 30 to 40 games last season, talking about the difference between this year and last year. So Rui said, we talked about before the season started, this year, our key is going to be in the details. Hachimura said, we're going to focus on every possession. Doesn't matter if it's the preseason or whatever. For us, it's a practice. We haven't had many practices yet. This kind of stuff helps us get in a good rhythm going into the season. Last season, we were kind of messing around the first 30 to 40 games, and then we came back and we made the playoffs. I think we can't do that this year again. We have to set the tone and play like we've been doing it when the season starts. So, again, big difference between JJ Redick and Darvin Ham. And you're seeing that continuously being regurgitated as like, hey, Darvin Ham, very lax, didn't really practice, didn't really prep. I mean, even Patrick Beverley talked about how, Darvin Ham apologized to me for not practicing enough and stuff, right? Like, that was a big issue with Darvin Ham and his lack of preparation, his lack of adjustments, his lack of game planning, and why he ended up ultimately getting fired. And all you've heard all offseason is how manic JJ Redick is, how attention to detail oriented, how much that they are working on things, and the preparation is just, it's bar none, right? Like, those are the things that can make a real difference in a season. I know a lot of people look at this team and they go, oh, it's the same team as last year. But if Darvin Ham was responsible for losses, then JJ Redick can be responsible for wins. And the Lakers won 47 games last year. I know there's people that think like the West just got, like every team outside of the Lakers just got Kevin Durant on the Warriors, but that's not the case. There's questions with pretty much everybody outside of like OKC. OKC is the only team that I think really, truly got better, like without question, but they also still lack the things as to why the Lakers were such a tough matchup for them. So I still like the Lakers in that matchup, but Denver got worse. The Clippers got worse. Minnesota, we'll see. Some people think that they got better. Some people think that they got worse. I'm willing to wait and see. I think that they got worse just because I don't think that they have the floor spacing now. But we'll see. Time will tell. Sacramento, the last thing they needed was DeMar DeRozan. The Dallas Mavericks, I mean, even Mark Cuban seemed kind of unsure in an interview about Klay Thompson and that acquisition. And Dallas got to the finals on their defense, not their offense. Right? So not really worried about them. The Pelicans don't even have a center and are expected to start Herb Jones at the center spot. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's not going to work. And then also you have Brandon Ingram, who all he wants to do is just be on the first thing smoking out of there, right? Like, all these teams that are ahead of us or that people put ahead of us, there's questions with. Now, are there questions with the Lakers? Absolutely. But this team was on pace to win 55 plus games. If it wasn't for that 10 out of 13 stretch where they lost 10 games because of Darvin Ham and him just kind of going off the rails a little bit and experimenting and trying to do all this stuff after you just won the in-season tournament, Lakers would have won 54 games. Also, the Lakers were on pace once they implemented Rui Hachimura, which they went 26-13 on. Right? They would have been a 55-win team. That was a 55 to 60 win pace, right? If they would have done that from the beginning. And that was with no real preparation, no real game calling, with no real adjustments, and with injury issues. Like, you go down the list, and there was probably inconsistencies, but they never were addressed. That's the difference, right? JJ Redick has talked numerous times about how, hey, like, I'm not married to any idea. I'm not married to any philosophy, right? I'm open-minded. If things need to change, we'll change it. We're going this direction. If it doesn't work, then we'll figure out another thing. That wasn't even a thought in Darvin Ham's head because he didn't know anything else. I talked about it a lot this offseason and towards the end of last season, right? Like, that Darvin Ham, he at times looked excellent. There were moments where Darvin Ham, say what you want about Darvin Ham, there were times where he looked great. Go watch that Warriors series in the playoffs. Go watch that Memphis series. He was fantastic, but he never had to get out of his box. He had all the advantages. He had all the mismatches. He had the better team in those instances. But then he went and got to an equally great team where now coaching and adjustments and changes truly matter, and he got smoked. I mean, every one of those games were marginally thin. I mean, they were, you could slide a piece of paper through how close those games were, right? Like, and yet one team came ahead and won, 8 out of 9 games because of coaching, right? Remove the Western Conference Finals one, right? Just look at this most recent stint. It's one thing to lose a 20-point lead. All teams do it. It happens. It's part of the game. But to do it 4 out of 5 times, that's coaching. Because one team went into halftime. You were winning every game at halftime. One team went into halftime and made adjustments. The other team did it. And I understand that there is hey, don't fix what ain't broke type thing. But you need to have a what happens if thing, because going in, Denver's going to make adjustments. So what is our plan based on their adjustments? Need to have that. I believe in this team. I do. I believe in this roster. Now, is it something where I think we're the best team in the league? No. I think realistically, I've said we're anywhere from 3 to 6 range. I think just from what we've seen, I think the Lakers are going to have a top 5 offense. And my concern is the defense. I really have defensive concerns. There are moments where the Lakers look really good defensively, but a lot of it is when our bench guys are in. So I worry about the starting unit in particular and the balance that they have. But look, JJ Redick has said he'll make adjustments, he'll make changes. Offensively, we're going to be fantastic. We were a top 5 offense last year with the starting 5. I wouldn't be shocked if we're the best. I mean, we were for a large stretch towards the end of the season, second in the league behind Boston, right? And then 3-point percentage wise, we just didn't get the volume, right? Now, guys haven't been shooting the ball super well, and I'm hoping that corrects itself, right? Like Rui said, we haven't gotten a lot of practices. What he means by that is not that they're not practicing, because they clearly are. It's been all the conversation is, but they've only started training camp, a week and a half ago, right? So they don't have these preseason games are in a lot of ways their practices to work on stuff, which is why and what preseason is. It's why I'm not so worried about the wins and losses. I'm happy we won. I want to win every preseason game. But it's not what it's about to me. It's about how do the players that matter, how do they look? How are we running and operating our offensive schemes, defense schemes, all of that? Now, this is a roster that I really do believe we're going to be good. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need a trade. That doesn't mean we don't need a center. It doesn't mean we don't need other things. Of course, you can always be better, right? Even if the Lakers are, let's say the season goes best case scenario, right? Let's say the Lakers are the 2 seed behind Oklahoma City. They're looking like a top 5 team, in the NBA period. All things are working. They got a top, 3 offense. Defense isn't great, but it's not bad. Let's say it's top 10 defense, all that stuff, right? You can still be better, right? You could still be the number, if you're, say, 3rd in offense, you could be number 2, number 1. 10th in defense, you could move up to number 8, 7, 6, all the way to 1, right? If you can find players that fit in and make sense, right? You can always be better, right? The Knicks just put together a super team, and they're still looking for ways to get better, right? Boston, if they can find a way to get better, there's talks about Boston potentially bringing back Time Lord, right? If they can get better, they're going to get better. It's what you do. If you can find a way to get improved, find a way to get better, then you get better. But as currently constructed, I think this team is a playoff team. And I don't think anyone would be shocked if the Lakers won the championship. They have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And they have some quality role players, right? Now, are there pros and cons to pretty much everybody not named LeBron James and Anthony Davis? Of course, right? Rui, he can't defend. He talked about, I can defend 1 through 5. I'm still waiting to see that, right? Still waiting to see that. D'Angelo Russell, we all know, playoff time, it's a concern. My hope is that he had progress between the first playoff stint and this most recent. So hopefully, again, how do you keep kind of getting back into it? Defensively, he has concerns. Defensively, he has moments. He has sequences where he looks good, but he hasn't been able to show consistently that he can put things together. Austin Reeves just completely forgot how to shoot. I mean, he shot 28% in the playoffs. He's shooting like 25% or something worse, right? Because he's two of 15 or something off the top of my head, 2 of 16 from 3-point range. Like, he's just completely forgot how to shoot. Defensively, he's been great, right? I've actually been very impressed with his defense and his playmaking. He's actually done a better job playmaking than he did last year. But still, again, right? We have plenty of one-dimensional play. We have plenty of guys that can defend and not shoot. Right? Like, last thing we need is another guy that can defend and not shoot. You look at the starting five, you go down the list. I mean, Dalton Connect looks all ready to, make an impact, but defensively, he's had his struggles. He's had his inconsistencies. Obviously, he's a rookie. It's okay. No one's expecting him to be great. I'm just trying to point out that there's flaws. Like, you can go down the roster. Jared Vanderbilt forgets how to shoot. Doesn't know is the offensive liability. Right? Excellent defensive guy. Arguably the best perimeter defender in the league. Max Christie, can he stay consistent? Right? Can he continue to provide? He's had his inconsistencies. Again, young player, first coming in. Right? Like, you go down the list. Gabe Vincent. His three-point shooting has looked great so far, but historically, he has not been a great three-point shooter in the regular season. Defensively, great. But that's my point, right? Like, there are definitely flaws in this roster, which is why I don't have an issue with people being critical, but we have to also be honest and fair, right? Are there concerns about this team? Absolutely. But there's also a lot of positives about this team, and there's a lot of things that this team can greatly benefit from, right? This is a squad that was in the conference finals 2 seasons ago, and it wasn't like they got lucky. No, they were one of the best teams in the league at that point. They're number one defense, right? They had a top offense. Like, they were, I think, 7th at the time going into the playoffs, right? Like, they were clearly good enough to get to the conference finals. And then last year, the consensus was, on top of winning 47 games, the consensus was, like, as long as they don't play Denver, they probably win a championship. And now everyone's like, oh, they're trash? Like, make that make sense. Right? You're already seeing the improvements. You've already seen the night and day comparisons. You've already seen the differences that this team has under J.J. Redick as opposed to Darvin Ham. And, those are only going to get better. Those are only going to improve. Because guys are going to get more and more comfortable. They're going to get better understanding of the game plans and schemes and stuff, right? It's just guys continuing to buy in, guys continuing to do what is necessary, right? J.J. Redick's going to have some learning curves. J.J. Redick's going to have some moments, but that's why you have Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks. People are just looking at J.J. Redick, but it's like, you have more than just J.J. Redick, right? It's not just J.J. Redick. It's J.J. Redick, Scott Brooks, Nate McMillan, Lindsey Harding, right? Like, St. Jean. Like, you have a lot of experience on that coaching staff that can help during those trying times. But it's up to the other guys, right? LeBron James and Anthony Davis, we know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to show up and deliver night in and night out. It's just, can Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura, can these guys consistently and regularly, handle their end of the bargain, right? Because Anthony Davis and LeBron James are going to put you on their back. It's just, are you going to be dead weight, or are you going to actually help, burden some of the load, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you surprised by what Rui said? Are you like, nah, like this absolutely makes sense? Do you think the Lakers are going to be good? Think they're going to be bad? Think they're going to be somewhere in between? Are you kind of one of those people that's like, hey, let's wait and see? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Now subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.